Because your mark was present here.
Second terms, could you confirm that everybody is settled? If we are all settled, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Senate, to the Public Accounts Committee. We started our meeting a bit earlier with a brief from the Office of the Auditor General, the EACC, and the Parliamentary Budget Office. We are now at the point where we are ready to consider the report of the Auditor General on Nandi County Executive for the financial years ended 30th June 2021 and 30th June 2022, as well as the report of the Auditor General on the receipt of revenue statements for the year ended 30th June 2022. We usually pray when the clients are before us. I'd like the Senator for Nandi to put us in the mood with a word of prayer.
Thank you, Chair. Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold us with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants who have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this department. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests we have committed to our charge. Amen.
Thank you, Senator Chiratke. We will do a quick round of introductions of members of Senate present, starting from Senator Lee.
Good morning, everyone. Senator Maria Omar, member of the committee.
Good morning, Chair. For this is my name, Senator of the great people of Nandi and also the Vice Chairperson of Senate Public Accounts Committee.
Thank you very much, Control of budget?
Chairman, we have apologies from the CEO.
Okay. Did we invite the County Assembly of Nandi Public Accounts Committee?
Yes, Chair, we did. I got word yesterday evening from the clerk of the Assembly indicating that they are unable to send the PAC committee of the Assembly.
Okay, it was not mandatory, but it was nice for them to be here so that we can have concurrence on some of the resolutions. Let's go to the County Executive of Nandi. Governor Nandi, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair, Senators and the Senate Committee. My name is Stephen Sang, Governor Nandi, and I'm here with my team. Allow me, Chair, that I ask them to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Hilary Serem, the CC Member for Finance and Economic Planning.
And please Kamwige, CEO of Finance Economic Planning, Nandi.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Jafet Irop, Head of Supply Chain.
I'm Francis Sang, the County Secretary.
Kibet Changamit, Accountant. Matthew Hop, Accountant. Zawak, Accountant.
Festus Nelly, Accountant.
Clay Alfred, Accountant. Francis Kipta, Administrator.
Sharon Kichur, Director Liaison.
Does that wind up the team from Nandi, Executive? Yes, okay. We then, members, we did not do the adoption of agenda. Our agenda today is as per the document before us. We've already done the brief, and now we are on agenda number 5 and 6. Could I get a proposal?
Honorable Chairman, I propose.
Thank you, Senator Metu.
Chairman, I second.
Thank you, Senator Maria Mumar. The next order is administration of oath, which will be followed by tabling of documents. Clerk of the Senate, guide the governor.
I, Stephen Sang, do solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give before the committee in the respect of matters before the committee shall be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Next will be your tabling of your management responses and supporting annexures. Let's start with the financial year 2020-2021.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I hereby table the following documents before the committee. Management responses and accompanying annexures for the County Executive of Nandi for the financial year 2020-2021.
Okay, clerk, 2020-2021, which are the supporting annexures? Is it the smaller file?
Yes.
Then, next, for the financial year 2021-2022.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I hereby table the following documents before this committee. The management responses and accompanying annexures for the County Executive Committee for Nandi for the financial year 2021-2022.
Okay, is this the bigger document? Then we go to the receipt of revenue report for financial year 2021-2022.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I wish to make a request that we were not able to finalize on this. We request that the Senate, the committee allows us to do this in within 7 days. We were not able to compile all the documentation for this year. Our apologies.
Okay, first of all, let's first deal with what is properly filed. Auditor General, 2020-2021, have you been able to review the responses?
Chair, we've reviewed the responses for 2020-2021.
2021-2022?
We've also reviewed the responses for 2021-2022.
But in 2021-2022, we started the practice of preparing separate receipt of revenue statements. what was your opinion on the receipt of revenue statements for that financial year?
Chair, our opinion was an adverse opinion for that particular year.
And adverse, it basically means in plain English that you cannot tell whether money was stolen or not. And on the balance of probability, money was stolen. That is what an adverse opinion is. Yes, so Governor, is there a reason why we don't have responses on that adverse opinion? Because I think it's the reason why you are here before many of the other governors. We say you are dealing with adverse opinion because that's where there's a smoking gun. An adverse opinion is a smoking gun. Is that, what would be the reason why you are able to deal with others' qualified opinions but not this smoking gun of the receipt of revenue statements?
Chair, as indicated, that was an adverse opinion, and in dealing with them, the documentation were a bit bulky, and we were not able to put all the documentations in good times. Chair.
You see, the thing is, if it was adverse at the time of audit, you've been given an opportunity to come before the Senate to explain why it was adverse. You still have not taken that opportunity. Where else are you going to get the records? Because this is not expenditure, this is revenue. Actually, this should be the easiest thing to explain. It's a money you are collecting. It's not even expenditure. Expenditure has got longer schedules. Revenue is much, much easier. So even if you are to ask for 7 days, are you going to manufacture those documents in Nandi?
No, Chair, we will not manufacture, we just put together the documentation.
Now, honorable members, I think we must make a decision. Previously, when a county has come with half a job done, we have told them to go back home and get the full job done. In this case, the financial year 2020-2021 is done, but financial year 2021-2022 cannot be done without the report of the receiver of revenue. Let me get your views before we give direction. Senator Meth.
Honorable Chair, it would have been prudent use of the resources for the team that has come from Nandi if you are able to look at the 2 financial years. I was looking at the time, Honorable Chair, it's now 11:30, and I think so that we are effective and for the convenience of the us as a committee, and so that we are able to do a very thorough job in the financial year 2021-2022, whose work is halfway done. I think I would propose that we allow the governor the 7 days that he has sought for, so that he can be able to put his house in order. But in the meantime, we look at, I know this is not what we do every time. If you have invited you to, and Governor Sang has been a senator, you know, you've been invited to deal with the 2 financial years. The appropriate thing is that we either do the 2 financial years or we don't do. But Honorable Chair, I feel that we could do justice to this particular assembly, to this particular executive and the program Nandi, if you are to deal with the 2020-2021 financial year today, and then allow the governor to put his house in order for 7 days. I agree with you. The receiver of revenue statement is not something that should require a lot of time, because not much is required to be put together, so that we can then give them a fresh day to deal with the financial year 2021-2022.
Senator Cheraki.
Chair, I think on the issue of lack of receiver of revenue in the subsequent financial year, I think since it is half, we should not proceed with that financial year, but we proceed with the financial year 2020, the year under financial review, so that this work cannot be an escape for the governor not to account, because if we give a ruling where we cannot proceed, many governors, including my governor, will always find a perfect excuse to escape from accountability. Number 2, this receiver of revenue is one of the easiest things to do. McHugh governor is serving the 2nd term. If it was, and you need to make a ruling, Chair, Because if it was a first-term government, you would be saying they are still grappling with how things should be done. But having serving his second term, these should have been issues that should have been handled as appropriately as it should be, Chair, with ease and convenience. But now, to ensure that we prudent use of time and resources, I don't have a problem if we proceed with 2020-2021. But of course, the issue is, where was this documentation? Because it is like giving you the second bite to the cherry. And you know, letter of management has raised these issues before, so it would have been easier to come up with this receiver of revenue of this financial year of 2021-2022. So, Chair, I think we made a ruling in Kisumu when they appeared. For ease and convenience of time, we can proceed with the year that is complete. And then at the committee can retreat and give direction further, so that we ensure we can hit the ground running.
Thank you. Senator Dulo.
Chair, thank you very much. But just a small clarification, when the governor says 7 days, so does it mean it's going to appear before the Senate in 7 days, or is just submission of the report?
Governor, do you want us to set a date 7 days from today for consideration of the receipt of revenue report?
Chair, just to indicate that one of the issues we are dealing with in that particular report is records from NHIF. As you said, it's just about receipt. So the NHIF, we have had issues, getting that full documentation, and we can be sure we would be complete within 7 days. So any advice, any directions from the committee after 7 days, we would be available, and we should be done with this.
Senator Dulo?
I think, as my colleagues have said, of course, the receiver of revenue report is very critical, in as much as the rest are equally important. But I think the bulk of the money that is normally sent to the county, that is what accounts for the allocation. And if that is out, then it means that the report is not complete, or even the response is not complete. So it's really very critical, and I think in future, Chair, we must make a decision on how we should proceed if counties fail to provide a receiver of revenue report. But now that the Nandi County is here, we should actually utilize the time available, because sending them back will mean we'll have another 1 year backlog for Nandi County. But I think we must send a warning to the governors that it's really unacceptable. Receiver of revenue report is #1, and I think it should be submitted within the required time by the Senate. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senators. Is Mr. Nicholas Biwott present? Your county receiver of revenue?
No, it's not here.
Is he still in office?
Yes.
But why would he not come for a meeting where his report is to be discussed? Because I know you are the governor, the CEO, but section 165 of the PFM gives a specific requirement on the receiver of revenue. You are paying this guy a salary, isn't it?
Yes.
On average, how much is the receiver of revenue being paid per month? On average, do you have anyone from HR here?
County Secretary is not there.
A receiver of revenue is at the level of a director.
Yes.
So what's the average? Don't give me the specific, but on average, how much is it being paid?
It's around 100, around between 115 to 120,000.
150. So
115.
115, 120. Governor, I want you to, when you go back and you're having a word with Nicholas Biwott, let him read out this particular page on statement of receiver of revenues responsibilities. You are paying him 120,000 to do a job. He's not doing that job. And that is why you have an adverse opinion on the receiver of revenue statement. It makes Governor Sang sound like a thief. But it's just because someone is not doing what they are employed to do. And we have made a decision as a Senate that we are not just going to assign culpability and blame to the CEO. We are going to name the officers who have got a mandate. Chief of Revenue, the head of reporting, accounting, who is supposed to be a member of the institute. Has given the receiver of revenue the responsibility for presentation of the receiver of revenue account and to give a true and fair picture of the state of affairs for that financial year. And it's a full page where the receiver of revenue undertakes and signs that they are of the opinion that the account gives true and fair view of the state of entities receiver of revenue transactions, further confirms the completeness of the accounting records maintained, and further confirms that the entity has complied fully with applicable government regulations. I think, Governor, it's easy to reprimand you as a CEO, but I think this reprimand must go directly to the person with the statutory responsibility. Ideally, you would not have accepted to proceed when only half the reports have been filed, but let's deal with, I want to agree with my colleagues that we can deal with 2020-2021, because in that year, reporting for on-source revenue was included in the main financial statements. So with that, members,
Chair, on the receiver of revenue getting advance report, I think in private sector, when you get advance report, you are supposed to be fined. Yeah, that is it, as simple as that, but it looks like in Nandi you are rewarded. So anyway, let's have conversation and see how it looks like. Thank you.
I think that's, because I see an ISPAC number that assigned to the receiver of revenue, ISPAC number 15598. And clerks, this officer must be part of those officers we are recommending to the Institute of Certified Public Accountants for disciplinary action. No member of the institute should sit comfortable with an adverse opinion or a disclaimer. That is only tolerated in government, but the Senate is not going to allow it. So please add Mr. Nicholas Biwott to the list of officers who need to be sanctioned and who need to be dealt with professionally. And Governor, you must also take certain administrative action on the officers. So if that is a consensus, then we will start with the report for the year ended 30th of June 2021. Auditor General, what was your opinion?
Thank you, Chair. A report of the Auditor General on the County Executive of Nandi for the year ended 30th June 2021. The opinion was a qualified opinion.
And if we go to the basis of the opinion, we will take an efficient approach to be able to address most of the issues that are before us. There were 26 issues that were raised by the Auditor General. How many of them have been resolved?
We've said 7 issues have been resolved, 17 not resolved, and 7 partially addressed.
That does not add up to 26.
31.
The what?
26 is for 2020, 21, 22. 26 issues are for the financial year 2021, 2022. And the 31 issues are for the financial year 2020, 2021.
So out of 31, you said how many resolved?
Actually, 31.
7? 2020, 2021.
Yes, we have said 7 have been resolved, 17 not resolved, and 7 partially addressed or partially resolved.
So we will focus more on the partial and unresolved issues, and where an issue has been resolved, we will take note, and if the committee is satisfied, we will take the written responses. We've starting with the basis for qualified opinion. Even though PBO, in your brief, you are given a history, a chronology of opinions in Nandi County. And I saw that the county had disclaimer opinions for 4 financial years.
Yes.
Could you just make sure that that goes on record? Just let us know which financial years was one.
Chair, for since the onset of deliberation from 2013 to 2016-17, they had a discrete opinion. From 2017-18 to 2022-2023, they had a qualified opinion.
Be a bit slow. So from 2013
to 2016-17 financial year
to 2016.
Yes.
That's 4 years.
Yes.
Yes. Then from 2016-17.
2017-18 to 2022-2023.
They had qualified.
Qualified.
Okay. So the adverse opinion is coming up in the receipt of revenue in 2021-2022. The adverse opinion is only on the receipt of revenue statements.
The receipt of revenue. Yeah, the report of the receipt of revenue.
Fine. So let's go to the basis of the opinion, of the qualified opinion. The first issue is presentation, accuracy, and completeness of the financial statements. Now, Governor, on this matter, initially I was of the view that this is a matter of professionals to be held to account. But when we went into the detailed issues, we realized that there's a risk of financial loss. Now, starting with the, when you see presentation, accuracy, and completeness, you first ask yourself, who signed the financial statements? In your case, who signed the financial statements, Governor? Who are the signatories?
The chief officer
called
Meshach Malakwen.
Is Mr. Malakwen present?
No, that is no longer the chief officer.
But he's still in the county?
No.
He left the county?
He left the county.
Who was the other signatory?
Director Finance.
By the name?
Helen Kemboy.
Is Helen present?
But she is not present.
Is she still in the county?
Yes.
In what role?
As still Director of Finance.
So why wouldn't Helen be present here to discuss a report which she signed as a professional?
She is unwell.
Point of order, Chair. You are saying Helen Kemboy is acting Director of Finance?
Yeah, she was acting Director of Finance.
Then? But it is not indicated in the financial statements. So what is Helen Kemboy's position as of now? Through the
Director of Finance.
Finance?
Yeah.
But she found it wise not to come and discuss her report. Chair, this is serious.
So out of the persons with who had direct fiduciary responsibility for that financial year, how many of them are present? And the finance officers must ensure that you have a copy of the financial statement, because that's where I'm drawing my questions from. And it is that financial statement that the Auditor General gave an opinion on. So we are not fishing. We are looking at what had been put before the Auditor General.
Point of order, Chair. As the governor consoles, this governor knows very well these are house of records and procedures. Chair, even you are aware when you are supposed to be on plenary and you have traveled outside the country, you must get the permission of the Speaker. So let's assume Helen Kemboy, which I doubt that she is unwell, could the governor table statements from the doctor to confirm that Helen Kemboy is unwell? Because if we are not careful, we will set a dangerous precedent where somebody walks into this committee and says, I'm unwell, and they will quote the decision of this Senate Public Accounts Committee by saying by word of mouth, the witness, who is very critical in terms of presentation of financial statements, was supposed to be here. So, Chair, I request that you direct the governor to give us evidence of medical records or from doctor, and then we can rest easy, because the money that goes to Nandi belongs to the people of Nandi because they pay taxation, just like any other Kenyan. So we should always be prudent in terms of accountability and transparency. So I request your indulgence, Chair, let the governor produce the medical records or doctor notes. Number two, if they cannot produce, then both the governor and the director of finance must be sanctioned by the committee on that aspect. Because I thought the county would be grateful that we have agreed to proceed with a halfway of the financial years that we had discussed we should proceed. We have been fair by saying, since they have traveled and used government money, let us make prudent use of resources that they have used. But now, if they want again to sabotage the work of the committee, then it will be a very unfair, Chair. So can they table the medical record so that we can put that matter to rest?
Governor, remembering that you're on oath, how much are you able to provide just a doctor's note, perhaps if not immediately? How much time will it take you to provide that? Because you need to confirm that the reason for their non-attendance here is not out of malice or contempt for the Senate.
Chair, we can, we do not have the document now, but we are just writing and just inquiring from her to get that information right away.
Yeah, because we were concerned that Nicholas Liwot, who's your receiver of revenue and whose report we were supposed to discuss today, is not here. And Helen Kemboi, who's the director of finance and who is a signatory to these financial statements, is not here. Now let's look at the other officers who are direct fiduciary responsibility. CPA Alfred Lagat, who was a CCM Finance and Economic Planning. Is he still in that role?
No.
Is he still in the county?
Yes.
In what role?
CEC Trade.
Is he part of this delegation?
No.
Didn't you think it would have been fit for him to be present to discuss financial statements on the year when he was a CEC Finance?
Well, Chair, we thought that the current CEC Finance would be able to handle it.
Who's the current CEC Finance?
It's me, Chair.
Mr.
Hilary
Serem. Do we have, so Mr. Meshach Malakwen, you've said is no longer the chief officer finance. Meshach Malakwen in these reports is indicated as Bachelor of Science in Agriculture and an MBA. I know the law does not strictly require one to be a CPA to be chief officer finance, but did Meshach have any finance background or experience? Any public finance background or experience?
He had worked as a manager, in the tea estate, but not really strongly financed.
Was he plucking tea or was blending tea?
He was the manager. He was a manager in the tea estate.
Kiborbok or was it Kiborbok?
No, Eastern Produce.
Not the Kiborbok that is in this report. No. Okay, we will demonstrate to you why we are asking these questions. So Helen Kemboi, Director of Finance, is not here. CPA Priska Jepchirchir, who was Head of Budget and Economic Planning. Is she here?
Yes, she is. She is now the current Chief Officer.
She's now the Chief Officer? Finance.
Yes.
Who is Priska?
Myself, Chair.
So the reason why I've asked these questions is if you have, in terms of fiduciary management, 1, 2, 3 CPAs and 1 T placker, why then would the Auditor General raise an audit query on presentation and accuracy and completeness of the financial statements? And it appears that it's only Jessica Priska who's present. She's the only CPA who had fiduciary responsibility that year. What does it mean when the auditor queries the presentation and accuracy of your financial statements? Governor, again, we are not fishing. You remember we already said Nicholas Biwot must be referred to the professional body. If it was an errant advocate, we would have done the same thing. Now I want to establish whether the other CPAs should follow suit. So what does it mean when the accuracy, completeness and presentation of the financial statements are queried? And Governor, we are saying that on the backdrop that the issues here have not been resolved. The Auditor General has said that they still remain outstanding. Why should we have those professionals in office if they are not doing what they've sworn to do professionally? Maybe we hear from her because she's one of those cited here. Then we'll get your view as a CEO. Prescribe.
Who is the chair? Who is the CAC Finance? I think that is the person who should carry the bigger responsibility.
Unfortunately, we don't know whether he's a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Are you?
I'm not.
What is your background?
I have a bachelor in business management accounting. And I'm also finalizing my CPS.
And what is your professional experience background? Have you been plucking tea as well?
No. I'm a banker. I've worked in the bank. And Senator is also indicating that I have.
Your Order, just address the chair. What were you doing in the bank?
I was doing credit management, relationship management and policy.
So since you're not a member of the Institute, you might not be able to talk about the professional responsibility. I think the only, in this front row, is there any other CPA beside Priska? No, talking about the front row. So Priska, you're the Chief Officer Finance. The Auditor General has said that your financial statements are inaccurate and are incomplete and they are poorly presented. Why should you continue holding your CPA number? Why shouldn't you be struck off? You are listed in the earlier pages as one of those who held direct fiduciary responsibility. Please say something before we write to ISPAC.
Thank you, Chair. As well put, I was the Director Budget then in the county government of Nandi. When the financial statements are not complete or inaccurate, it may not present a fair view of the financial records. And this is attributed to various factors, which I believe we'll be able to explain.
What does it say about the professional who presents financial statements in that manner?
There is the responsibility, personal responsibility of the officer presenting the financial statements.
What is that responsibility?
The professional preparing the financial statements should ensure the financial statements present a fair view of the financial performance and records.
Correct.
Of the organization.
The responsibility of a professional is to ensure accuracy and completeness.
Yes.
So when they are deemed to be inaccurate and incomplete, the professional has failed in their responsibility, isn't it?
Partly and partly maybe to the factors contributing to the variances occurring and presenting the way the financial statements are presented.
I have asked that question because the Auditor General has told us that the variances have not been addressed to date. So the financial statements were inaccurate then, they remain inaccurate now. Because if you had closed the gaps, then you would have said that the professionals under the leadership of the CEO have now done the right thing and the financial statements are accurate and complete. So Governor, the financial statements for that year still remain inaccurate and incomplete, despite the qualified opinion. It is the kind of situation that gives rise to the conclusion that the 6.9 billion sent to Nandi County cannot be accounted for. Senator Gulu?
Yes, Chair. In as much as, maybe first I want to know for how long this has been in that position.
I've been the Chief Officer of Finance for 1 year.
1 year?
Yes.
So, Chair, I would want to find out who was responsible for actually responding to these queries. because according to the brief given by the Auditor General, I think there were only 7 queries that were responded to. 17 are still outstanding, which clearly that responsibility falls on the CEC Finance, if I'm not wrong. And the statement that has just been asked falls within the 17. What do you have to say about that? Because you are the CEC Finance, you are the one in charge of finance, you have 31 issues and you have responded only to 7 out of 31. What do you have to say?
And maybe to tie it up, if you allow me, Honorable Chair, the CC Finance Hillary is your name. Now that, just as Senator Ruto is saying, 17 issues remain outstanding, and the CC who was in charge that time is still your colleague. So do you have a confidence that you can stand in for him and answer questions, because I mean, all these questions will be coming to you.
Okay. So that the answer also to number 1. 2 is that the Public Finance Management Act is very clear. It talks about responsibility of accounting officer. So 1, CPA Prescribed Chirchir was part of judiciary management. It does not say the responsibility of a specific officer, but accounting officer. So, Chair, when the reading of Section 148, 196 of the Public Finance Management Act, it gives responsibilities of accounting officer and the consequences of non-compliance. So, all these people who are supposed to have judiciary management must be held accountable for. Chair, my thinking is, it is not coincidence that Ellen Kemboy, and Governor will confirm this, Meshach Malakwen and Alfred Lagat are strategically absent. Because maybe Governor thought if they were here, they could reveal too much than what he thought it should be revealed. So it cannot be coincidence, and even be what that we have referred the receiver of revenue. So the question is, for example, somebody like Alfred Lagat and Kemboy and Biwott are people who could have appeared alongside Governor and answer questions. So you can see there is a trend that they want to establish, and until Chief Officer, in as much as Priska is now the CEO of Finance, she was then part of the people who prepared the financial statement, and she had said if they are not complete, she agrees with us that it is professional negligence, Chair. So I don't think we need to make a lot of to hang around this issue. This officer should be referred to the relevant bodies and relevant action. Even as we refer, Chair, you must also direct the Governor to take administrative action against this officer. And you know, for Ellen Kemboy, the Governor has explained she is sick. The Governor has not told us why Lagat is not here, despite being within the county, serving within county. And of course, Malakwen says she has left, and also Biwott. So on these two people, Lagat and Biwott, Chair, no one has told us why they are absent. Maybe they are absent to hide something. Maybe the Governor can answer that. But on the responsibility of accounting officers or Public Finance Management Act, the consequences are very clear.
I think to bring this to, so that we can, this conversation is going to help us to deal with all these issues from 1.11 all the way to 1.13. So do not be worried. We are not veering off the issues. We need to know where to assign responsibility. CEC Finance, you've been asked whether you are able to carry the cross. Can you respond?
Yes, thank you, Chair. There were 2 issues directed to me. One is the one you just mentioned, and the other one is as to why these issues are still outstanding. Chair, I will respond by saying, when we gave the responses, we gave out of good faith, and we are not yet aware, based on how the auditors have reviewed, as to which ones as in
Did you have a meeting with the auditor prior to coming to the Senate? Did you as CC Finance have any meeting with the Office of the Auditor General before today?
Yes, when we submitted the documents.
Or auditor, did you have any meeting with the client to tell them, you know, fine, you have submitted this, but it does not close the matter?
Yes, we had a meeting to verify the documents. Apparently they were coming in bits, so you might not know. The final brief here, we've worked on it up to very late. So
was the CC part of that meeting?
No.
So CC, what are you saying? Why can't, remember the statement of management responsibility is signed by the CCM Finance. So how can you come into a meeting where you have not been part of the preparation? Was the governor part of the meeting?
Let me make a clarification. I've just said, upon presentation of the audit evidence, we had a meeting for verification of the documents. And at that point, initially, the CC was present. Initially, the CC.
But at the end, so he does not know whether you have you concur on issues that are before us.
So at the end, because the documents were coming, with some of the documents we received late, so he might not know our.
I mean, auditor, just before you say whether he might not know or not, I got it in your statement that you said that you concluded this process a little too late. So you hope that it was not possible to hold a meeting.
Late does not mean yesterday, because the response came on 6.
I mean, it is you who know when late was, yes. So that's why I'm asking.
Because the initial stages of the conclusion, he was not there.
Okay.
That's untidy, Governor, because if your CC Finance is not on the same page with the Auditor General, then you are going to have a lot of back and forth. Ultimately, the PFM Act gives him a lot of powers, and that's why he signed the statement of management responsibility. So CC, are you aware of the 17 issues that the Auditor General has?
So now, Chair, I'm not aware. So that is why you say if they...
So then you shouldn't have come. It's the other CC who signed these financial statements who should have come. Governor, do you have a team that is going to support you? You see, at the end of the day, this jurisprudence was written when you were a senator, and we insisted that governors or CEOs must appear. Back then, governors argued that, but they are not the technicians. But we insisted that the CEO role is constitutional. But to help, to make your life easy, come with the technicians, so that even when we are pronouncing ourselves, we are not nailing you on things that should be done by other officers.
Maybe, or the answers before we go to letters of credit, by the cooperative bank that was been issued then.
Yeah, Governor, I don't know whether you are familiar with the documents that you have brought to the Senate.
Yes,
because some of the questions we are asking, if you peruse through the annexures, they are there. So it will make your life easy just to point us to the annexure and then use that as a basis for discussion.
And finally, Chair, so that we tell about, by the time this project is open and functional, so we have seen from the Kapsabet newborn units, the hospital has moved from 374.9 to 511. Or this, because you had said in the flagship project were around 400 million. What was the initial, because I'm trying to look at the contract, Governor, that you have supplied of Milky Development Company, and you did put the total sum of the entire project in this. And I can see you're only using USD, US dollars, but on the total sum of the project and the debt through you, Chair, if you look at the contract document, maybe, Governor, you can see which clause that gives us, by the time you were signing, how much was the contract at the inception was how much. Then now you can check as if there is extension and variation of similar amount. So, Chair, if the Governor, and then finally, who funds it? Is it funded purely from the budget because I can see another document, Chair, the phase 2 of the proposed. This was signed in 7th February 2020. Governor and through the chair, that was 67 million. That was on phase 2, but I'm not seeing the amount of phase 1. Or is it this one? The contract price was 289,200 and 300. That is 289, 233 US dollars. There was another one of 712, 361 US dollars. There was another one 054 US dollars. And Governor, you have mixed everything, equipment, the contract, phase 1 and phase 2. So my question, so that it becomes easy for you, by the time the creameries is functional to be used by farmers of Nandi, how much would have cost? And is there proof here? Number 1. Number 2, who funds it? Is it through the money that is provided by the budget only, or there are conditional grants and you get? And finally, what was the timeline before give us extension? Was it the 2 years? Was it under 1 financial year before you did the extension? Thank you, Chair.
Now, Governor, we are limited in time, so I see you've got your Annex 10. Is that what you'd like us to refer to?
Yes.
Okay. Very, very quickly, just to address the question raised by the Senator, and if that information is on a page, point to it.
I think, Chair, in terms of the payments, in terms of the contract costs, we expect that at a cost of 584,954, that is the very, almost the second last page. The summaries are in the second last page.
So it means, through you, Chair, it means you have never varied. So at the beginning it was only 584 million.
So that is the total cost to completion.
But at the inception was how much? The head of procurement is here, he can assist, because he must have also given out professional opinion. Maybe what was the initial cost of this project? Just the way you are very clear in the Kapsabet, Newmat and Bevy, the NBU, the new unit. You are clear that you gave it at 4.9 and now it is a 5.11. What about these creameries? When you are incepting it before variation, how much was it?
Of course, this project had the 2 components, the structure, the building and the construction structure and the equipment. So, Chair, you will just allow me we can try to separate the 2 and give the indications, because there were 2.
This tender document does not have that information.
But Chair, the Governor is saying by the time this project is complete, is 584 million, let's assume, without further extension. I thought this involved phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Now, when you are doing inception, apart from specialized equipment, the structure, among other, at the inception of the project, I thought by the time you are telling us in your answer that this flagship project was worth 400 million, you should be able to tell us from your fingertips this project at the inception of these daily creameries was this much.
Governor, please make our life easier. You have a contract, you've got a contract document here for design, supply, installation, etc. It's inside that contract document. There must be a contract sum.
Yes.
Because at least this time around we have brought more information than we did the last time. So just point us to the page where you've got total contract sum. I think that should, the price of this contract is 1.051 USD. Page 23. Is that the one that addresses total price? Or there was another contract? Page 23 of that contract. Head of procurement, please. You should make life easy for everybody. If the total price was 1.051 million US dollars, even taking the most ambitious interest rate, forex rate, then it should have been about 160 million. Now the governor is telling us that to completion, it will be about 584 million. I think we need to understand that how it has moved from $1 million to approximately $5 or $4 million. That is number one. Number two, I've seen the confirmation by the bank that you're still holding some amounts in a call deposit account. And we spoke about it extensively last time. Does this call deposit account bear interest? I remember we asked that question and took a long time on it. Does it bear interest? KCB says you are still holding $240,959 in a call deposit account at KCB. Is it bearing interest? CEO Finance?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe briefly through the progress report.
No, first of all, the call deposit account. Does it bear interest?
Actually, it's not a call deposit per se.
This is what KCB has said in their letter. The outstanding balance is currently held in a call deposit held at KCB.
Yes. There's a call deposit account, it attracts interest, and the interest is used to take care of the cost of processing the payments.
Cost of?
That's a lot.
Wait a minute. Any interest arising from your financial instruments must first go to the CRF as a receipt.
Yes.
Am I wrong, Auditor?
That is a position, Chair.
Because I've been looking at your statement of receipts and payments to see whether there's a line there saying interest from deposits. There is nothing. That in itself is a violation of the PFM. So these guys are holding 31 million in a call deposit. Even if you went for a low rate of 10%, because banks now, for you to get a loan from banks, it's almost 21%.
Yeah.
Even if it was bearing 10%, that's 3 million in a year. You are telling me that 3 million is being used to... so who's eating that 3 million in the first place? Are you one of them, Chief Officer?
No.
So if you're not one of them, who is?
I would say no one.
There's an interest. There is an interest. There is an interest that is coming out of this. Is that a fact?
Yes, and remains within the account.
Wait. There is an interest that comes out of this. How do you treat interest? Should you deal with it within the bank account, or you should recognize it in your account revenue fund?
Ideally, it should be recognized.
Has that been done?
No.
Who is responsible for making sure that it is treated in the right manner? Is it the governor, or is it the Chief Officer Finance?
Chief Officer.
Fine. So you will have to cough back the interest that you have been eating alongside the bank. Now, back to the question. Governor, it started as $1 million. You are saying it's going to end at $5 million. Is there a contract variation? Because if it was denominated in Kenya shillings, you can understand that there have been some fluctuations. But it was denominated in dollars. How do you explain the movement from $1 million to $5 million?
Chair, we can put up the documentation to show that movement. I can't place my hands on it right now.
So where did the 584 million come from? It came from you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where is it in your pack of documents?
It's on that same Annex 10.
So what was 584 million for?
Under Annex 10, where is that exactly?
Is it the second document or the first?
Because at least I appreciate that you are being a truthful man today. I just want to locate that 584 million.
I have always been chair. That is the second last page on that Annex 10.
Second last page. Right.
On the first, on that.
Oh, there's a schedule somewhere there.
Yeah. Just before the cooperative bank, there is one document show with a picture, and then the next.
Members, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it here.
Maybe I can share yours for just to save time.
County government contribution, NCC payment for structure and reconstruction.
Okay. Yeah, so at least I'm glad that the governor, because we are directed that that breakdown be shown, or the county is contributing, or NARIP is contributing. But I think it's still alarming that a project that started at $1 million would end up at $5 million.
Yes.
Auditor General, this project found its way in the 2022 audit report.
Yes, I saw it. Yes, Chair.
So can we deal with it comprehensively on that when we do the other financial year? And Governor, in addition, I can see you have done well by giving us all this information as directed last time. In addition, we want to see the interest that has been generated in these call deposit accounts over the years and how that interest has been distributed, and evidence that it has been swept to the county revenue fund before your mandarins start sharing it and calling it management expenses. So when we are dealing with it in the next financial year, in addition to what we have here, please also give us information on the call deposit accounts.
Chair, maybe to request so that we make progress looking at time. I think I think whether ESCC or back, they should give us a status, but it becomes a concern when you start a project from 1 million USD or 1 billion Kenya shillings to 5 billion. It must have gone way beyond 25% variation if it was just to budget. So, Chair, I think looking at the amount that has proved from $1 million to $5 million, yet the project is yet to be complete. One, it's out of time. Three, two is there is no value for money for the people of Nandi, because in terms of prudence. And therefore, Chair, looking at this difference of between $1 million USD to $5 million USD, there is a difference of $4 million USD. I think, Chair, the special audit must be called upon, because looking at this amount that has been spent on this project is too huge to ignore. And you know, the governor cannot pinpoint exactly on this, the aspect of the contribution he has given, but on the aspect of this movement from 1 million USD to 5 million USD. Considering, Chair, we are not sure because the dollar rates keep changing. The other day they had gone up to around 150 against the shilling. Now is 130 something or 120 something, Chair. So it is like the Kenyan debt, where when the value changes, it affects everything. So, Chair, I think on this aspect of movement of $1 million to $5 million, this 5 billion, then in my own opinion, this one does not look very neat, and therefore special audit must be called upon, considering the money that has been.
Thank you, Senator. I'll cut it short because of time. The Speaker is making his way to the House. There's a special audit that is being carried out on the Nandi project. Auditor General, can you confirm whether it's actually on a performance audit on the National Agriculture and Rural Inclusive Growth Project?
Chair, we said earlier that we'll get back to office and confirm that information. We have not, but we will do that immediately.
Yes, I'm aware that the Auditor General had commissioned such an audit that will take care of the concerns raised by Senator Cherargei. But on the details of this particular matter, let's deal with it in the financial year 2021-2022, because time does not allow us to deal justice to it. Governor, please, when you come back, at least give us something refreshing. Report that it is in use. Let us not be talking about call deposits and US dollar variations. Come and give us evidence that the farmers of Nandi at least are delivering milk to the site. Yeah, so I think we've already given our directives on the additional information that is required over and above what the Auditor General will have queried in that financial year, particularly the issue of interest in the call deposit account. Is the Nandi County Governor's office complete? That is the next audit question. Go.
Not yet, sir.
Why? You left us here in the Senate in the year 2017 to go and make things right in Nandi. I would have thought that this was one of the first things you would have made right.
Yes, Chair, I think when we appeared here, we were able to share the information that it took us time to get the clearance to proceed with the project. We got the clearance, we got one contractor, engaged one contractor. The contractor was not able to, did some bit of work, but was not able to conclude. Because of the pressure to conclude, that contract was terminated, and we now have a final contractor whom we hope that that contractor would complete the work.
You seem to have a serious problem in project and program management. Is it a capacity thing within your team? Because I don't expect the governor to be the one to be running around these contracts. Already, remember, we have cited 584 million in the creameries, 511 million at the hospital, and 103 million now in the governor's office. It's not small money. It's about 1.3 billion. 1.3 billion. Your wage bill is 52%. So once you have paid salaries and sent 10% to the assembly, that's already 62%. How much do you remain with? For you now to have 1.3 billion in projects that are of no value for money. I would have expected that you, having gone through the Senate school of leadership, I do not have to repeat this to you, but I must say this for your team to also to listen, that it is not tidy at all. For a county with a 52% wage bill, 10% to the assembly, 20% operations, you've got such little room to wiggle that you cannot afford to have 1.3 billion of stalled projects and to have 31 million in a fixed deposit account where some people, some shadowy figures are sharing the interest, and have 295 million in terms of bank balances that cannot be located. I want to bring members, I want to bring this to a close because I know this governor's office is also in the 2022 report. So we'll deal with it substantively. On the remaining issues on on-source revenue, we will deal with it when we get now your substantive responses on the receipt of revenue statement. The issue of wage bill, Nandi was one of the counties we wrote to with regards to the high wage bill. Clerk, can you confirm that Nandi responded?
Yes, Chair, I do confirm the response.
So when we meet for the 2022 audit, just you'll summarize the response from Nandi so that we can deal with that comprehensive response that the governor had already done. So we are deferring on-source revenue to the receipt of revenue statement. We are deferring wage bill to our next sitting, and we're also deferring the creameries and the governor's office to our next meeting. The rest of the issues on accounting, we shall take the written responses from the county government. Project verification, Auditor General, please make sure that that Appendix 1, when we come back, we can have a more comprehensive update. In closing, members, because of time, I could ask just the governor and the senator for Nandi to do the closing remarks, if you agree.
Yes.
If that is agreed, then let me ask Senator Cherargei to...
Maybe in closing, Chair, what I can say because of time is that I think the other issues that we didn't touch, we should come and prosecute because it's cross-cutting, like wage bill, the issue of wage bill and the issue of on-source revenue. I realize it's cross-cutting, but since we didn't have receiver of revenue, I think you can tell how Nandi is performing because the governor himself has accepted on a number of issues that either is a one-man show or he doesn't take advice, because you could see there's disjointed in terms of what is happening on the ground. And I think the reason we are here is to ensure value for money for the people of Nandi. All the projects, all the money that is given, Chair, you have seen the acquisition of assets around 1.3 billion, and even the harmonization of supporting schedule of 295 million. So, Chair, it doesn't look like very well, and I hope EACC will take up the issues we have raised. They say if it quacks or works or looks like a duck, then it is a duck, Chair. So I think there is still that needs to be done, even on the issue of Kiborkog in terms of on-source revenue. And interestingly, Chair, if you have noticed, and I know the OAG have in conclusion, there are some audit queries that have been stubborn. Kiborkog tea proceeds, Nandi County Creameries, Kapsabet newborn unit, the issue of wage bill and staff establishment, incapacity, professional misconduct among senior county officials. And I think in future, Chair, whenever we find juniors violating professional misconduct, Governor Sang, who is an advocate, we should also write to LSK to be also disciplined, because he is also a chief officer of an entity. Just the way the other day, Chair, I remember when I was taken to court by your former brothers in the handshake regime, there are some people who wrote to LSK to have me disciplined for professional misconduct. So I think in future, so that we don't just punish the junior, we must punish the governor in line with professional, even if he is a welder, then we write to welding association to be disciplined or as by that professional body. So I thank you, Chair, and hope in the next session we shall be able to be prudent. And I request that in future we put Nandi on a day that we don't have plenary, so that we can go proper and ensure we dissect it properly. I thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'll ask the governor for his closing remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Again, we appreciate being here. Of course, I take great exception to personalized statements by the senator referring to me as a one-man show. That is completely in bad faith, and of course is just entitled to his view. But we will continue to cooperate with the Senate, and we will continue discharging our responsibilities in the county. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, I think we were all doing very well until the closing remarks. We have managed to have a meeting that is useful, and Governor Sang was in the Senate with me in the first Senate, and I recall one day when he told me he had made up his mind to go for the county job. And at that point, I thought that he was going to go against giants and that he was not going to win. And congratulations, you won, not once, but twice. But let this be a lesson to Senator Methu, Senator Cherargei. There's a way that going to the county makes you something that perhaps people do not recognize you for. Because honestly, I would have expected that Nandi County would not be in the category that gets adverse opinions, or would not be the category that has pending projects that have been running for 4 or 5 years, some of which include the residence of the governor. We will continue pushing you hard, because we expect much from you. You are not someone who came from the streets. You are someone who came from the Senate to go and head the Nandi County Executive. So for those with gubernatorial ambitions, prepare yourselves for the day when you'll be appearing as meek and as docile as Governor as Governor Sang here, when you'll be asked who's eating interest on your deposits and you have no idea, when you'll be asked who procured insurance and you have no idea.
Chair,
this is it.
Point of information, Your Excellency.
you are going to finish your second term. You want these things to follow you home. I mean, I'm actually completely heartbroken.
I think we have demonstrated a mixture of toughness and love. Toughness from this side and love from this side. So it has been a bit balanced today. Due to time, this meeting is adjourned.
So it cannot be coincidence, and even be what that we have preferred the receiver of revenue. So the question is, for example, somebody like Alfred Lagat and Kimboy and Biwott are people who could have appeared alongside governor and answer questions. So you can see there is a trend that they want to establish, and until chief officer, in as much as Priska is now the CEO of finance, she was then part of the people who prepared the financial statement, and she had said if they are not complete, she agrees with us that it is professional negligence, Chair. So I don't think we need to make a lot of to hang around this issue. This officer should be referred to the relevant bodies and relevant action. Even as we refer, Chair, you must also direct the governor to take administrative action against this officer. And you know, for Ellen Kimboy, the governor has explained she is sick. The governor has not told us why Lagat is not here, despite being within the county, serving within county. And of course, Malakwen says she has left, and also Biwott. So on these two people, Lagat and Biwott, Chair, no one has told us why they are absent. Maybe they are absent to hide something. Maybe the governor can answer that. But on the responsibility of accounting officers or public finance management, the consequences are very clear.
I think we're to bring this to, so that we can, this conversation is going to help us to deal with all these issues from 1.11 all the way to 1.13. So do not be worried. We are not veering off the issues. We need to know where to assign responsibility. CEC Finance, you've been asked whether you are able to carry the cross. Can you respond?
Yes, thank you, Chair. There were two issues directed to me. One is the one you just mentioned, and the other one is as to why these issues are still outstanding. Chair, I will respond by saying, when we gave the responses, we gave out of good faith, and we are not yet aware, based on how the auditors have reviewed, as to which ones are still outstanding.
Did you have a meeting with the auditor prior to coming to the Senate? Did you as CC Finance have any meeting with the Office of the Auditor General before today?
Yes, when we submitted the documents.
Or auditor, did you have any meeting with the client to tell them, you know, fine, you have submitted this, but it does not close the matter?
Yes, we had a meeting to verify the documents.
668,789,195 has been attached. Now the comprehensive schedule of the full amount.
You have talked of an overdraft. Of how much?
It is an expense.
How much was the overdraft?
295.
And how much was retention? You have attributed it to overdrafts and retention. Those are two different things.
Chair, we can check on our records. Those were summing up.
CEC Finance, you have just told us that you are ready to proceed. You have told us that that variance is a result of an overdraft and retention. So the overdraft is 295. Tell us what the retention was, and then point us to your financial statements where the overdraft has been disclosed. Where is the disclosure of the overdraft? For auditor, is there a requirement for an overdraft to be disclosed in the financial statement?
So it's very important for the client to disclose the overdraft.
Okay, just point us to the disclosure of the 295. in the financial statements. Let's, assuming the variance, because I started by citing 3 numbers, we want to know what the bank balance was, because this is cash, or is a bank balance a theoretical figure, or it's supposed to be money, money for the people of Nandi?
Yeah, it's supposed to be physical money.
It's supposed to be money. So your CC says the money was 668 million. But your supporting schedules indicated 373 million. In IFMIS, 447 million. Assuming we set IFMIS aside and say that you have challenges in using IFMIS, why would whatever is reported be different from whatever is in the supporting schedules?
Chair, I have now chosen the efforts, the figures you wanted me to point at.
Where?
Note 23.
Page?
That is page 28. On accounts payable, we have the overdraft and disbursement money. The overdraft was 287,880,535. The retention was 11,327,26,164. Totally 299,207,299.
But your variance was 295 million, not 299 million. Remember, the auditor said this is cash, this is actual money. So even a shilling or 10 or 100 makes a difference. So here we have 4 million still unexplained before we get to the other issues around overdrafts. CC? Seriously. So how do you close for us the gap? If that added up to 295, we would have said it's okay. Then we go to the manner in which the overdraft was procured. We are not disputing that. I can see it. I can see it. But I can also see that the variance is 295, not 299. So unless we're just looking for something to answer. Governor, you see, this is why you needed the technicians, because the technicians who prepare the financial statements, sometimes they are faster in explaining this thing. Do we have an answer, or we just say that as Senator Odinga comes on record? Please come on record.
Chair, my name is Senator Richard Nyonko. I'm sorry I was late because we are discussing the BBS. Senator Kisii County and I'm a member of this committee. Thank you, Governor Khalid.
Okay. So do we use the words that Senator Odinga likes using, that this money was stolen?
Chair, I always say it was eaten. Not stolen. This one has been eaten.
It was eaten.
Wanagula.
Governor Sang, are we going to say that 295 billion was eaten?
Chair, the variance that has been captured in the audit report may not be correct because
you can't tell us that. Order, CC. And Governor, please tell your officers that you are part of the architect of the arrangements we have of oversight. And even some of the space and strength the Office of the Auditor General has, you and the team that were with in the first Senate worked very hard. It would be extremely unfortunate if your officer was to come here 3 years after this management, after this report has been laid on the table, to say that the Auditor General was wrong. I think I need to hear that clarification from you. Because in his failure to explain his numbers, he is now turning on the Office of the Auditor General. We are not going to allow that. It's either you explain the numbers, or we say the money was stolen, and ask Ginoti, who was here, to follow up. But it cannot be that the Auditor General was wrong, and your CCM Finance is right. Governor, I want you to go on record because we must ensure that your team understands the role this office plays, and it should not be rubbished, because I know that you are part of us when you are working hard for this oversight arrangements. So what advice do you give your officer on that assertion?
No, Chair, of course that can't be right, because if that was the case, he should have had the opportunity to, to cross-check with the auditor. So definitely that cannot fly.
So, are we getting answers, or we make conclusions? Senator, okay.
Yeah, looking at the next year on the bank balances, I can only note the retention of 11.3674, while it is not 23 on accounts paid. But looking at the amount of supported schedule, I think cooking up and up to somewhere, then the numbers didn't add up. So this variance of 295,354,379 is actual money, but it cannot be accounted for. In other words, it has been misappropriated in layman's language. Because if all these supporting schedules were there up to 373,434,816, the variance still remain. Because when you look at the Annex 4 on bank balances, I can, on the revenue fund, comparing to what CC or Equity Bank Limited overdraft, it doesn't add up with the annexures that they are provided as supporting documents. So cooking happened, but it happened badly. So that is why they did able to explain where 295, 354, 379 is, or they can give us the supporting schedule to support that amount. And it goes back to the preparation of financial statements and the implication. Because financial statement is essentially the heart of the audit process. So, Chair, in my own opinion, these 295, they can't. Even if you give them time to go and try and look for the schedule or manufacture, they will not be able to explain where 295, 354, 379. Because even looking at the notes, it doesn't add up.
Let's hear congratulations, Dr. Muno.
Chair, I have not gone on record. Yeah, I want to say I am Dr. Silas Munywa, Alliance Officer attached to this committee. Chair, I wanted, with your permission, to read the PFM Act 82, verse 7. Sorry. I thought I'm in the section 72. Yes, it says, no official government bank account shall be overdrawn, nor shall any advance or loan be obtained from a bank account for official purposes beyond the limits authorized by the National Treasury in line with the section 28(4) of the Act. Chair, I think it's important for the county government to tell us, to tell the committee how they obtained the overdraft.
Assuming that was the explanation, because it has still not tied the difference. Assuming that was the explanation that it was an overdraft, for what purpose was it acquired and what process was followed? The schedules. Governor?
Chairman, we have had issues in counties when we have delays in disbursements, and what we have done as counties to mitigate that unfortunate situation, particularly with regard to salaries for staff, is to have arrangements with our financial institutions that we work with, that they are able to advance salaries to our staff, and once we have disbursements from National Treasury, we are able to settle those accounts. The process has always been through a motion before, a resolution of the county executive and a motion in the county assembly. We appreciate that this is, this is is an overdraft to sort out a challenge, a reality challenge of late disbursements by counties. It's not out of choice. We always try to ensure that our staff are able to, have their salaries in time for purposes of moving forward. So that is how we engage, or we got ourselves into the bank overdraft.
Senator Nyako?
Governor, the argument you're making is actually not convincing. You know why? Because when he was asked, why do you have this variance of 275 million? He couldn't explain. If that was the reason why this money, all right, was kept as an OD, he would have explained that immediately. Number two, he's answered my question. This money is actually cash. It's cash. And number three, the only option I have now is to ask the OAG to explain to us what they think has happened here.
Chair, in addition, that's why it is important to have people who pay, because Governor is saying there was less disbursement of cash.
Well, proceed, Senator.
Governor, you are saying that there was delayed disbursement of cash, but according to the statement that was signed by CPA, Lagat CCM Finance and Economic Planning, on cash flows, he says, and it is on record because it's part of it. So which one we should read, your statement by mouth or what is written here? Because it says in the financial year 2020-2021 there was a smooth cash flow compared to the previous financial year. This was a result of timely disbursements by the National Treasury. So you have written here is part of documentation, and you are saying something contrary to what your CCM Finance and Planning has written. So Governor, which is your answer? Is it what is written here as part of documentation, or what you are telling the committee to try and explain in the variance that cannot be supported by supporting schedules of 295 million plus? Thank you, Chair.
Senator Matthew, you also had
maybe so that we understand this particular matter, just as Senator Onyoka has asked. This variance of 295, in your response, in the bundle of document of your response, where would you point us to the explanation of the variance of 285 million? Because this is the document that you have given us. Where would you point out that this is the explanation for the variance of 295 million? Because I mean, Honorable Chair, without necessarily even looking at the financial statements, without looking at the document from the Auditor General, This is a query that came from the Auditor General. And there's your response. I can see your response speaking about 375 million, which were cash and cash equivalents after netting an overdraft of and retentions. The schedule of 668 million is hereby annexed. We want to see where do we find in your response the 295 million that was the variance that was cited by the Auditor General.
Okay, so starting from Auditor General, maybe describe the problem to Senator Nyonka and maybe attempt to define what would be the solution. Then we come back to, yes, then we come back to the government.
And maybe Chair, just from the Auditor General, so that even for the comfort of the county and ourselves, what is it that you expected that would explain this variance of 295 million?
Thank you, Chair. I want to start by saying that the statement which has been made about netting off is not allowed in financial accounting. Because the moment you net off two accounts, you are avoiding disclosure. When you disclose only the net amount, there is information that is left out that will not be disclosed. Chair, when you look at the financial statement and given on page 2, you will see that the bank balances under note 21A is 668 million. Page 2 of the financial statement.
So yes, okay.
If you go down and look at note 23, this is where the overdraft is being disclosed for the 299, the amount of 299 million. The amount of 299 million is quite different from the variance that was being shown in our report at page 3 of 295 million. Yes. Which the officer from the county was trying to relate to. The figure of 295 million is quite different from 299 million. Chair, the overdraft is appearing on the opposite side of the financial statement, that is the statement of assets and liabilities, and cannot be used to explain the cash and bank balance of 668 million. Yeah, the 668 million is expected to be cash. The 299 million is a liability to the institution. It cannot form part of your cash. So, Chair, from where we sit, this is where this is how we look at it. So most likely this is going to end up being another pending bill. Possibly, Chair. Thank you.
Is this a pending bill? A pending bill is where someone is demanding. This one has been eaten. So there's nobody demanding payment.
Yeah, I meant that for somebody to explain logically to say we didn't pay some contractors.
And Governor, now you see why we have spent a lot of time on professional responsibility. The Auditor General speaks from the perspective of a professional. What is expected of an accountant, a member of the institute. At the bottom of that page, it has been signed by ISPAC member number 11936, CPA Ellen Kimboi. And you know, it's easy to say, Governor Mekula Pesa. But if it is an accounting treatment, we must deal with accountants, first of all, before we get to the other conspiracy theories of who could have eaten the money. So you heard from the Auditor General that the explanation does not attempt in any way to answer. You are dealing with 299, the Auditor General is dealing with 295, and Senator Smith has asked, in your pack here, which page can we go to get that explanation of 295? Is it there or not? If it's there, point us to it. Governor, maybe let's get your views on this before we move on.
Well, Chair, I think looks like we are not able to give that explanation for as now.
What do you think is the likely fate of the 295 billion?
we should be able to take some bit of time to understand and try to get the documentation to it, Chair.
If your officers, and this is your first 11 that you have brought to the Senate, are unable to explain it, and the others who are demanding should have been here, you say you didn't think they were very relevant. Who else is going to explain this matter? Is it going to be a senator? Who else will, outside your first 11 that you have come with to the Senate?
Point to about the chair, I'm not part of the executive. How do I explain?
I'm wondering who else is going to explain this if not the governor and his chair.
Could I please say something? Allow me, son.
Okay.
Governor San, you know, personally I have a lot of respect for you. I'm just coming from the budget committee. Guys are arguing why we shouldn't give county governments money. With things like this, honestly, why would I even bother? You tell me. And you've been here, you've been a senator. And you know we respect you so much. So these officers of yours, you can't get them. You allow me to bring you a Kisi only. You know what to do, most of them.
Well, before the Senator for Kisi converses with him, allow me to specifically ask this question to the CEC. Because as you've said, in my opinion, I think this is a professional question that must be answered professionally. And I'm happy that you've been a banker. If a farmer of my caliber can be able to understand this question, I would wonder why a banker is not understanding. So two issues. Do you, for one, then appreciate the reason why your meeting with the Auditor General was very, very important? Because what you said as your response, the Auditor General tells you that it's a different thing. And I could see it, even though I'm a farmer. I could tell that an overdraft cannot be part of your cash balance. But most important, what do you think, in your opinion, would be a sufficient response to the 295? Forget about what you said here because it does not answer. Forget about what you have said earlier because it also does not answer. What, in your opinion, as a person in charge of that particular department, would be the treatment? Forget about what the bank governor has said that you're not able to answer now. You should maybe get them to answer that question. But what, in your opinion, should be the treatment or should be the answer to the variance of 295 million?
Chair, so that they answer both. And I have seen in this annex on annex number 4 bank balances, there is an M-Pesa 299 with 853,245. What is this M-Pesa for? Because I can see you have tried to add up to try and come up with 688, which means, by the way, Chair, as you have directed, this 668, 789, 195 million is cash. And that is why the county have tried to give breakdown of the amount. And one is M-Pesa 299 without proper description, and that is 853,245. Then I thought the auditor, this money that comes from one bank, another conditional grants, I thought they have special purpose account. I thought the special purpose account is normally open as per the Public Finance and Management Act. But what is normally the procedure before I proceed with my question?
Maybe before the order answers, I think that is why, Honorable Vice Chair, the transfer to Nandi does not tie up to the bank balance. It comes in as a different posting on the financial statement. The 3.8 million from Nandi, I suppose it does not appear in the bank balances because it is not in the bank account of the county. It is in the special account as required by the PFMA.
So Auditor General, should it be in a special purpose account?
Thank you, Chair. Now, the procedure is that once they receive the donor funds through the CRF account, they transfer them to the special purpose account, and then from the special purpose account, it is now transferred to the main project account.
Okay. Then looking, because these 688, 668, 789, 195, Governor, what is this M-Pesa 299, 299 without description? Because it still comes back to the total bank balance, which is 668, 789, 195. Thank you, Chief.
Okay. I've seen the Chief Officer.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Responding to the M-Pesa question, this is the bank balances or the cash balances at our M-Pesa revenue collection account as at close of financial year. It had a balance of 853,245. The balances, as it means cash and cash equivalents, it's all the cash and all other forms of cash that has an equivalent of cash. So it sums all the balances in all the various accounts, be it special purpose accounts or all the other operational accounts.
Thank you. How many M-Pesa do you have that are used to pay parking fees or any other?
We have only one M-Pesa account, which is linked to our county revenue fund account.
But why is it not descriptive, just like any other accounts like Metete, like Nandi County Business account, just blah 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 blah. The others are described. Why is this one not given proper description? Or it's only petty cash, 800 and something serious. It can be like DCT class.
Sorry, it's not a petty cash account, it's the M-Pesa line that.
But why is it not descriptive?
Maybe just additional description that is linked to county revenue fund account.
But maybe members, just to ensure that we can progress, the Auditor General has clearly stated that the 299 that is we're being referred to does not explain the 295 that the Auditor General has cited. The Auditor General has also clearly pointed out what the professional responsibility was as far as reporting is concerned. And that is why on the financial statement inaccuracy and incompleteness issues, our general recommendation would be along these lines, that the persons who had fiduciary responsibility in that financial year within the enterprise must be held to account. And the first level of accountability is at the professional level. So all the CPAs who had professional responsibility, CPA Alfred Lagat, whether he's still CC or not, at that point he was a professional acting in a position that required certain responsibilities. CPA Helen Kimboi, CPA Priska Jepchirchir, CPA Nicholas Bigot be referred to the Institute of Certified Public Accountants for disciplinary action on the account of rendering inaccurate and incomplete financial statements. And I think that once we get a report from the Institute, perhaps the next move the committee will make is to seek a resolution of the House that those persons should never be trusted with public resources, and that will kill their careers effectively. Secondly, on the issue of the 295 million, the county executive has failed to adequately address it, and we take great concern because this is not, this is cash. This is not a theoretical figure. This is actual money. And we'll be asking the EACC to carry out investigations on that matter because they have the capacity and make recommendations. If the EACC finds that this 295 million cannot be accounted for and is then probably benefited some criminals within the enterprise, we will also be asking the House to resolve that the CEO of Nandi County should also take responsibility for presiding over a criminal enterprise that has spirited away 295 million. As the EACC does its investigation, we agree with the governor that there could be pressure that allows or forces the executive to take short-term financing, because the law talks of for short-term cash flow management. But there's a threshold, there's a percentage above which it should not go, and there's an approval that is required of the county assembly. We will also be asking the EACC to check whether those aspects of lawfulness have been complied with. And so, members, that can allow us to move on, because the more we interrogate the records before us, we're interrogating the wrong things. They are not responding to the question. let investigations be carried out on these 295 million, but the CPS must carry their cross because they have sworn an oath to be professional in all their undertakings, and if indeed this 295 million cannot be explained, I think the amount is material enough for the governor also to take responsibility for that loss. If you allow me, members, we can close the presentation